So a couple days ago I did a video about the HGUC Nu Gundam where I kind of showed the kit off and gave it one last chance in the spotlight before it gets completely overshadowed by the real grade, and you guys seem to really like that video a lot. In fact, it was pretty cool to see the comments and how many of you guys still really like this kit after all these years, or even have just recently built it. And now that we have official images of the real grade Nu Gundam, I'm honestly not even sure I'll upgrade. I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool the real grade's got all that detail, but I don't know if it really benefits from it as much as the Sazabi did. So there was one other thing that I noticed people bring up a bunch in the comments, and that was the heavy weapon system. It seems like that's a very popular version of the Nu Gundam to get, and funny thing is, I actually have that version of the Nu Gundam. So I left the heavy weapon system parts out of the previous video because I really wanted to focus on just the Nu Gundam itself, since that's what people would inevitably end up comparing to the real grade. However, since that video went over so well and I wanted to talk about the Nu Gundam some more, I thought I'd break out the heavy weapon system today and show you why I think this might not necessarily be the best upgrade for the Nu. But before I start talking about the heavy weapon system too deeply, I want to actually show you guys a piece that I completely forgot to bring up that comes with the normal Nu Gundam, and that is this little adapter right here. And what you do with this piece is, if you come around to the back of the Nu Gundam, there's an option to take off this beam saber hold on the back of his backpack and replace it with this adapter that allows you to attach a second set of fin funnels. Now, this is not canon as far as I know, but it's a very popular way for some people to display their Nu Gundams, since not everybody likes the asymmetrical aesthetic. Now, the real grade Nu Gundam will actually be getting a premium Bandai double funnel release that will include a second set of fin funnels, allowing you to make a real grade Nu Gundam double funnel version without buying two Nu Gundams. Unfortunately, no such set exists for the high grade, so if you want to display this guy with double funnels, you're going to need to get yourself a second Nu. Okay, now we can move on to the heavy weapon system. So before I get this stuff on the kit, I'm going to show you all the parts that make it up individually. So the chest plate for the heavy weapon system is a very simple white construction. There's no color separation at all on this. It's just a white piece that clips over the chest, and the way it attaches is you remove the two yellow vents, and then these two pegs just kind of slide into the space where the vents used to be. Then next you got these two thruster sections that actually do have some really nice color separation. There's some yellow in the vents down here and some black on the front, and these replace the dark gray sections on the outside of the legs. You just pull those off, you stick these on, and you're good to go. Now next we have the front skirt armor, and this is the only pieces on the kit that you really have to swap out. So you actually have to take the original front skirt panels off, and then you put these in where they used to be. Now, funnily enough, even though you're supposed to completely swap them out, they actually have the outline of the original front skirt armor molded on underneath, so it looks like they're attached on top of the original armor. It's an interesting little Easter egg. And then the final armor pieces are these two, which attach over the two back skirt panels, and I might have to look at the manual to confirm this, but I believe you attach them just by taking out these two red squares, and then these plug into the holes where those used to be. Actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it works. So I'm going to take a moment to attach all this stuff onto the Nu Gundam off screen, because it is kind of a pain in the ass to do, and I'll be back with you in just a moment. Alright, so here is the Nu Gundam with all of the heavy weapon system equipment attached. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, this kit is really not meant to be swapped back and forth between forms like that. All the pieces connect together in a way that it's pretty clear that you're not supposed to be just ripping parts off and sticking them back on. I did it once or twice, once in the past when I first built the kit, just because I put the heavy weapon system on, didn't like it, and then took it off. And then of course I did it once again for this video, and I'm probably going to do it a third time to switch this back to the normal Nu once I'm done filming. Normal Nu? Normal Nu. Switch it back to the normal Nu. This, however, is not something I'd recommend you doing to your own copy of the kit. With that out of the way, the Nu Gundam heavy weapon system is definitely very visually distinct from the previous version of the Nu. The legs are thickened up, the waist is thickened up, the torso's thickened up, and the whole thing's just very thick all around. Except for the arms, which really don't have much of anything else new on them. Now, of course, when you have a suit this heavy, that's also called, you know, the heavy weapon system, you would expect it to have some weapons, and you're right, it does have some weapons. So let's take a look at those. So first we have the heavy weapon system's big old beam rifle. I don't know what this is called, but it's the same gun the Sinanju Stein uses, and the same gun that the Sinanju Stein narrative version uses a slightly modified version of. Now, this is a very simple weapon, although despite that it still does have a little bit of color separation at the top and sides. You can see they put in some nice gray hoses. And it's got the same peg on the handle, so it attaches to the rifle holding hand in the exact same way that the standard Nu Gundam's rifle does. And since the Nu Gundam heavy weapon system is a bit bigger now than the original Nu, of course the original Nu Gundam shield probably isn't going to cut it. So the heavy weapon system also comes with an extended shield. Now this shield has a pair of very large booster engines underneath that are used, I think, as like extra flight things, or maybe these are beam cannons. I honestly don't know. I get the impression these are extra boosters to help with the added weight of the heavy weapon system, but I suppose they could be offensive weaponry too. Now the design of this shield is pretty creative, and I don't think I've seen a lot of other shields in Gundam that look quite like this, so I will give it credit for that. It does have some of the only foil color separation stickers on this kit in the form of these gray sections on the sides, which is unfortunate, but with how thin these pieces are, I don't really think they could have done anything else with them. You can also see there's a couple more marking symbols up here at the top. We have the Amuro unicorn again in white, and then a 01 because Amuro is number 1. Now, as you can probably figure out by looking at these grabby connectors on the back, this actually just clips right over the standard Nu Gundam shield. Now, funnily enough, you might look at this and think that they're supposed to go together like this, but you actually reverse the directions of the two shields, so the narrow side of the standard Nu Gundam shield actually goes into the wide end of the heavy weapons shield. And if I remember correctly, these are pretty easy to combine. You just kind of slide it down and then clip the end in there, and it locks right in place, and this is not going anywhere. It's a very solid connection. Then the shield connects onto the arm in the exact same way it did before, and now the heavy weapon system Nu Gundam is complete. And once you have all the equipment on the heavy weapon system Nu Gundam, it does look pretty cool. It's definitely a unique take on the Nu Gundam that will set this kit apart should you decide to get real grade Nu Gundam as well. However, of course, the real grade Nu Gundam is also likely to get this upgrade at some point in time, since it is pretty much the definitive Nu Gundam variant, so eventually you're probably going to find yourself replacing that too, should you prefer the real grade over the high grade, which, if I go off the comments of the last video, many of you guys might actually not. However, we've come to the point now where I talk about why I don't really like the heavy weapon system and why I didn't include it in the previous video. And the problem with this is, it just doesn't do anything. My favorite thing about the high-grade Nu Gundam, aside from its nice satisfying chunk and how detailed and color separated it was and all that, my favorite thing about it was that everything works perfectly on it. The funnels, they all separate, they all fold, they all work as they're supposed to. The beam saber in his arm, it folds open, it slides out, it rotates out, it comes out, it does every single thing it's supposed to. The opening transforming beam saber with like the double-ended blade thing where it's got like the short stabby end coming out by his handle, that all works great and I love it. But the heavy weapon system doesn't really do much of anything. And the problem is, it's actually supposed to do quite a lot. And I didn't even realize it was supposed to do some of this stuff until I saw the Master Grade Nu Gundam heavy weapon system. So comparing this to the Master Grade, apparently what the Nu Gundam's heavy weapon system is supposed to be able to do is there's supposed to be opening panels here in the front, and you can even see there's like a seam there because this is a separate part, but this is actually supposed to open up on the front here, and then there would be missiles inside here. And then on the legs, I believe these were also able to open up in some way. If I can, I'm going to find a picture of the Master Grade and put it here to kind of give you a comparison. And then the front skirt armor actually is supposed to have sub-arms that are folded up underneath it, similar to what you see on something like the O. And of course, as I showed you before, the underside of this just has the sculpted in detail of the fake front skirts with no sub-arms hidden down there. And this really sucks because that's basically all the functionality that the heavy weapon system has, and none of it really seems to be present on the high grade. Now, you do still have these little missile launchers up here at the top, and they do tilt back and forth a little bit, but it's not a lot. Really, the only gimmick at all that's added by the heavy weapon system is the bipod on the rifle. And it does work. You can rotate it down, kind of. Whoa, hang on. And to the kit's credit, you can bring down the bipod. However, it doesn't rotate like it's supposed to. You have to pull the pieces off and then stick them back on, and it's kind of disappointing to see that this kind of half recreation of a gimmick is the only new thing added with this whole heavy weapon system. Bandai did a fantastic job with the high grade Nu Gundam in recreating just about everything the Gundam's supposed to do, but it kind of seems like they just phoned it in with the heavy weapon system. Kind of a shame, really. And that's really all I can say about the heavy weapon system. After I'm done with this video, I'm more than likely just going to take it off, put it back in the box, and then put the original Nu Gundam back up on my shelf. I'm certainly never one to complain about getting extra content in a kit, but in this case, I feel like the extra content just doesn't fit with the original. You have this great, fantastic, pretty much almost perfect high grade at the core, and then you have the add-on accessories that just kind of fall flat. In fact, if they do end up making a heavy weapon system for the real grade Nu, which, let's face it, they probably will, I might find myself actually getting that version of the real grade Nu, displaying that with the heavy weapon system, and then keeping this as the original. That way I get the classic, sleek, high-grade Universal Century Nu, and I also get a hopefully better version of the heavy weapon system. So hopefully this video gave you the information you needed to decide which version of the Nu Gundam you wanted to get. And if you want to see more videos like this, I guess subscribe for more content, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and as always, I'm your host Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.